How's it going, guys? I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. Today I'll be presenting about a global poverty issue, and that issue is related to coffee farmers across the globe. So to start my presentation, I'll be presenting some facts. Obviously, I think we all know somebody who drinks coffee on a daily basis or a regular basis, and the numbers are staggering. The world drinks about 2.25 billion cups of coffee every single day, and according to the Huffington Post, Americans alone drink about 400 million cups of coffee a day. Um, so, with such high demand, it brings along production issues and questions. So, about 20% of the world's coffee is produced by large farms and estates, 20% is produced by medium sized estates, and the other 60% is produced by smallholder farmers. And to qualify as a smallholder farmer, your farm has to be between 1 and 5 hectares. Um, and there's just large scale poverty associated with being a smallholder farmer. The international poverty line is about $3.20 a day, and 44% of smallholder farmers live in poverty, while 22% live in extreme poverty. And even if they're above this $3.20 a day threshold, I think we can all see and understand how that is not conducive to a, a healthy life and maintaining a family. So, along with that, 1/3 of coffee farmers make less than $100 a year from their plant. If you're interested, I've linked a website that goes into more depth about poverty faced by coffee farmers. Um, so then, what is fair trade? Um, Fair trade is an organization that has tried to step in and tackle the issues with wages um, faced by these coffee farmers. So, according to the website, fair trade, quote, changes the way trade works through better prices, decent working conditions, and a fair deal for farmers and workers in developing countries. The fair trade movement dates back to 1946, and now approximately 1.5 farmers across 74 countries participate in this initiative. I think this video will do a little bit better job explaining what the fair trade movement fully entails.
A supermarket. Here we buy almost everything we need in our day-to-day lives. Our decisions on what to buy are based on taste, quality, and price. But what you might not know is that the decisions we make can have a significant impact. Fair trade products vastly improve the working and living conditions of families in developing countries. But how does fair trade even work? Let's take this pack of coffee as an example. Fair trade coffee farmers don't work alone. They are members of cooperatives and organized democratically. There are many advantages to this system. A central component of the fair trade system is the minimum price, which is the minimum that farmers' organizations are paid when selling their products through fair trade. Additionally, producer organizations receive the fair trade premium. It is up to the farmers and workers to decide how to use the premium. They might build wells and hospitals, buy better farming equipment, or invest in switching to organic farming. Having a stable income can drastically improve a whole family's opportunities. Coffee is the most well-known fair trade product. However, there is a huge range of fair trade products available, from bananas, ice cream, rice, cocoa, sugar, herbs, honey, dried fruits and nuts, to fruit juices, tea and wine. Even flowers, cotton, and sports balls can be fair trade certified. So now, it's over to you. In your daily shopping, look for the fair trade mark and choose products that change lives for over 1.5 million farmers and workers worldwide. Fair trade.
So, with such high demand for coffee and organizations like Fair Trade, one might be wondering, why do coffee farmers face such extreme poverty? If you look at this graph right here, anything to the left of the curve were farmers who reported that yields, their crops yielded less than $100. Um, and this study was done in like 2018, 2019. It's pretty recent, and we can see how many farmers face such extreme poverty. And there are multiple reasons that go into why this poverty is such widespread. The first one being that the average farm size is significantly down, with smaller farms farmers aren't able to grow as much coffee plants, and because they're not able to grow as much, they won't be able to sell as much. Second reason being that climate change presents numerous problems for these farmers, whether it be the rising temperatures that don't allow their crops to grow, or whether it be the various pest and disease outbreaks associated with climate change and rising temperatures. Coffee farmers and their yields are struggling to survive the changes going on. And third reason being that there are all-time low prices for coffee right now. In previous generations, while the coffee prices still was very inconsistent, the high times allowed for coffee farmers to sell enough and save enough money to get through the periods where coffee was where they're selling coffee for significantly lower prices. Along with the three issues previously mentioned, poverty is so widespread against these coffee farmers because farmers are largely out of the loop when it comes to policy making regarding trade and production. Since they're out of the loop, there is no way for them to advocate for better working and wage conditions. Along with that, large amounts of farmers are unprepared to face the challenges presented by climate change. Climate change is destroying these crops, and whether it be due to a lack of education or they're unprepared to face the rate at which climate change is happening, farmers are struck by this issue and have no way to combat it. Lastly, farmers are excluded in the most profitable parts of the supply chain. There's much more that goes into coffee than picking it and then drinking it. There's roasting it, grating it, and multiple other steps along the supply chain. And due to so, what can we do about this issue? In terms of governmental action, large-scale investments in technology and education for these farmers will be a huge step forward in tackling this poverty issue. Increased technology will lead to better crop yields despite the decreasing size of farms, and increased education will allow for more ownership along the process. Along with more ownership, increased education will allow for these farmers to possibly step into more profitable roles along the supply chain so they aren't just stuck with simply farming the coffee. Another step governments may be able to take is equip farmers with the tools to maintain crop yields despite climate change. Um, One example is to be improving soil conditions to neutralize carbon emissions. Companies such as Nestle and various other NGOs are taking the initial steps necessary to improve the soil conditions in a lot of these countries, but I believe it is on the government to take action and support their workers and incentivize sustainably growing crops. Um, as for us as consumers, we can do things such as support organizations like Fairtrade and the Rainforest Alliance that incentivize sustainably grown farming. When you go to the store, if you look for products that contain the Fairtrade certification or the Rainforest Alliance certification, not only will you be getting a great product, but you're able to see the standards and the quality um, standards that they meet. Another thing we can do is call our local coffee shop or your local coffee shop to see where they're purchasing their coffee, and if they do purchase fair trade coffee, um, financially backing companies that do incentivize sustainably grown coffee is very important. And whether I mean, while it might not be a significant amount, any amount will be helpful to these people. Um, and in our daily lives, finding ways to practice sustainability, whether it be saving water, recycling, doing various things like that, any step we can take to minimize our carbon footprint is very important. And at the end of the day, the demand for coffee is ever rising and action is necessary. This is a product that many people cherish and believe is a necessity. And if we're going to keep this and have this be a part of our lives for a significant time, action is necessary. Um, so at the end of my PowerPoint, I've linked a few articles on how to support, one to be where to buy fair trade products and where to find them, and then a lot of the ideas on how to end poverty has already been modeled by a company called New Cafe, which has started in Uganda, and their ownership model is explained in this nextbillion.net article. So to further explain fair trade, I created a website, and I'll link it for you guys in World Class so you'll be able to click through it. This first page explains fair trade in a little bit more detail. Fair trade movement dates back to the late 1940s as a way for small to medium-sized farm owners to compete with large-scale plantations in the coffee and chocolate industry. This initiative has now grown into many different fields and crops. Small farmers come together and create various cooperatives that trade directly to the fair trade coffee roasters. By doing this, those farmers are guaranteed a fair minimum price for their beans by paying to receive these certifications. Farmers also receive information on how to better fertilize the land and produce coffee more sustainably. Moving along, I will let you guys read this fact and fiction portion of the page. There's a lot of misconceptions associated with the Fair Trade Initiative, so I try to tackle that with this page. I also linked two videos, one being a fair trade video and how it helps sustainably growing, and one being an Al Jazeera video showing how the flaws in fair trade and how it might not be totally benefiting the poor. And then the last aspect of the website is the take action piece. I listed numbers of local and popular coffee shops near Regis University, so we can call them and see kind of what their coffee purchasing looks like. These are all in Denver, but I mean, a quick Google search will help you guys back home figure that out. And then there are two options here to read more and get involved with the Fair Trade Initiative and helping these people receive proper wages for their products. So by just clicking the read more or the get involved links, you'll be linked to websites that help you understand the project a little bit better and supply you with ways to possibly get involved with this initiative. I thank you guys for taking the time to listen, and I hope you enjoyed the project.